guess that means yes. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, the Power is Within podcast. Glad you could join me here today. As always, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. My 1,680 wonderful subscribers here to be enlightened and inspired and built up. Tonight's... What's up with that? We got a little feedback there.
No, I have no.
Let's get rid of that, would you?
No,
And we have here, we got a little feedback there.
I have no.
Let's get rid of that, would you?
Mark Daniels.
We're getting feedback into the... Are we set here?
Yeah, I got it. I had to mute that.
Okay. All right.
Mark Daniels, 23 years old.
Kevin Daniels, 14.
14. He just had a birthday night before last or 2 days ago. He thinks he's a man now. He's a young man. Unlike a lot of these coddled little boys in the U.S. today. Who's that guy on the end down there?
Yeah, I'm Claude Daniels. I'm 21 years old.
Brado Packagery, 16 years of age.
What's your last
Pauline,
name?
Packagery. No, it's Brado.
Pauline
Oh, Brandon.
Daniels, I'm 16.
Henry Daniels, I'm 19.
And Henry, what happened to you last Saturday night?
I had my first fight.
Oh, man.
Took a double on that. You already know how it is.
No, but everybody out there doesn't know this. So. And what did I tell you was going to happen if you didn't win?
I couldn't come home. I had to sleep outside. I packed a bag and everything.
I
No,
told him
I'm
if he didn't
joking.
whip his ass, I was going to take it off. I'm joking, of course. All right, tonight's topic is Andrew Tate. There's actually people that don't know who he is. I was talking to a girl from Venezuela, and she says, I don't know who Andrew Tate is. So I don't know about some parts of the world, they don't know who he is, even though he's the most Googled man on the planet there for a while. As you guys know, he was banned off social media, and now he's in jail. He's coming up on 2 months in jail. They have not filed any charges against him, nor have they presented any evidence. But in Romania, they can keep you in jail for 180 days without filing charges or without presenting any evidence. Unlike the U.S., where they have to at least make up some evidence or file some kind of charges against you to keep you after 24 hours, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's how it works. So what amazes me, though, is that so many people, you'll see them post comments like, well, if he's innocent, it'll come out, or they'll prove it, or if he's guilty, they'll come up with evidence. What people don't realize, have never been involved in the system, is well, at least here in the U.S., and it's probably pretty structured over there, and it's a great idea, but we have people and personalities involved in the system, and if people don't like you, it tends to, and they don't even have to be maliciously trying to jail you or get you in trouble or to railroad you. They just see things in a different way because they see them through their filters of what's happened in their life, and they may think you're a terrible person, and so they can justify maybe leaving things out that may prove your innocence or slanting something in a certain way to make you look guilty. Like you guys have seen on social media where people take stuff out of context and they post it on there, and it makes him look like he's a terrible guy. I mean, I can understand why people, unless you sit down and watch the whole thing in context of a lot of stuff he says, if you take things out of context, yeah, he looks like a real jerk. I mean, so that's kind of how it is.
Well, that's the only thing. I mean, the internet's a powerful thing. It just really depends on, who's using it and who has it. That's one of the only problems with it, is that it's so easy to manipulate videos that you take, manipulate videos and things that you post. A lot of people don't understand that there is like a digital footprint. Everything you do and say is left on the internet. Now, granted, things like what Andrew Tate is saying which I agree with most things, but there's, for example, like young men needed a voice, so he gave them a voice. But because that was the case, people didn't like it. Certain people in certain groups didn't like it, so they were like, okay, it's easy to take what he says out of context. So they were going on certain videos and taking, like, whenever he was making a joke to his assistant, like, you spilt this coffee, like he was just messing around with her, but people took that little part and just posted that, and they're like, is this the man you want your son to follow or something, so along with it, him being able to get his word out and everything like that, there's also, like I said, there's also the people that are going to take the little pieces and everything just to demonize him, make him look terrible.
What I think, I know a lot of the snowflakes out there aren't going to like this, but we don't have snowflakes as my subscribers, but he actually talks like the men that I grew up around. Now, some of these guys nowadays will say, well, thank God men aren't like that anymore. Well, men used to fellowship together and they made fun of their wives and women. And guess what? Women did the same things. But now when somebody does it, especially on social media, he's a misogynist or he's sexist. I mean, if you make jokes, okay, how many times have you seen a woman, I mean, I drive quite a bit, going through a dang red light because she's talking on her phone or looking at her phone and she's not watching what's going on. I'm sure there's men that do it, but now if I make a joke about that or says, women can't drive, they're too busy looking at their phone, people get all pissed off and you're a misogynist. But on the other hand, I've seen women going through traffic, texting and driving straight as an arrow. I can't do that. So, I mean, I don't know why it's like people are just looking for a reason to point the finger at somebody because they don't agree with them. And so all of a sudden they label them and say, he's this, he's that, he's this other thing, because they have an opinion different from theirs.
Yeah.
I see it a lot in today's society. Everybody, it's like a lot of people, not everybody, are looking for reasons to be offended. Everybody's so soft, and I just don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, with the situation that I went through recently, I won't say any names, but a lot of my friends have different opinions about certain stuff and different things. Granted, we think pretty much the same when it comes to, I guess, roles in the situation. When it comes to men and women, we can agree pretty decently on that. But, recently someone stopped being friends with me because, they said that we're spreading negativity and violence purely because we do your podcast and share your stuff and, share Andrew Tate stuff, but also Henry fights. We all fight. We're all fighters. All of a sudden that we're all fighters and we all box and everything, we're suddenly spreading negativity and violence. That's not the case. That's, the difference between me and the other guy is that I'm doing something for myself compared to him. So really it's just, I don't know. Everybody's gotten so soft that now that if you don't like something and you tell somebody who, for example, someone who owns the platform, you can, for the most part, report almost any video and get it taken down just because you don't like it.
Well, then you have to appeal it to get it back up.
Yeah, exactly. So, instead of sitting there and looking at it and really sitting there and listening to the video, like whoever monetizes the stuff, they sit there like, oh, okay, well, I could see why they wouldn't like it. And, instead of leaving it up and being like, hey, look, you don't like it, just block the account. They just take it down right away. So like you were saying the other day, or you posted something about it yesterday, I think, some valuable information being taken off of Twitter. The stuff that matters most, the stuff that is the truth, seems to be taken off of social media.
Yeah, censorship. Or some of you guys jump in if you want to here.
Yeah, I actually want to go back a second. Whenever you said the internet was getting more advanced, I was going to say something about the AI and the voice recording. Everybody was saying about the Andrew's voice recording on his cell phone was AI recorded.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know what your thoughts was that.
Well, that honestly, so now there's AI generators where you can pretty much type anything in and it'll sound like your favorite
Well,
character.
they didn't prove that was AI. They don't know.
They don't know yet. That's one of the things that people are saying now. So like I was saying earlier, the internet's been a good thing for spreading messages out like that and everything, but it's also, you have to understand when you're going onto the internet to put this stuff out that there is so much potential for it to be taken down.
And people don't seem to care. As long as they can get views, they'll put in it. Some people.
Yeah, for the
They
most
don't care
part.
what they put up, what kind of gossip. And that's what it is, gossip, whether it's true or not, as long as they get people to watch and then get views.
Exactly.
They don't care if they slander somebody's character or whatever happens to them.
You'd be surprised the average person who sits there and watches their phone, scrolls through TikTok, Instagram, or whatever that might be, is more captivated by drama and problems than they are anything positive.
Good example. You guys seen we had the thing down there by your house with the police and all that. I posted it. It was really boring. There wasn't anything happening. But I got like 15,200 views on that on Instagram just because I showed the police. And that's more views than I ever got on a video, even the ones I promoted.
That's just
Yeah.
more proof that on the internet you can make something seem like something that it's not.
Exactly.
Because here there was nothing,
Yeah.
but we made it like you made it look like
I
there
played
was
that
this.
dramatic music.
Yeah, and it was like
And it seems to play a role in everyone's
Mhm.
head, and it makes it worse than what it
The
actually is.
imagination. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like more proof that so much stuff can just be taken out of context. Because somebody could have taken that video and been like massive like shooting or something like that, and people are sitting there waiting for like,
Yeah.
oh, part two, send me the next
When the
part.
guy comes out blazing with the gun.
Yeah. So the drama on the internet tends to attract more views than the positive stuff does.
I was going to make a point about what did he say? Well, if we go back to what we was talking about, the AI, the conversation, my deal with that, where they said, where they played to him supposedly having a phone conversation was this, and we got to be careful not to say that one word, the grape word. I think it's only if you're monetized, but that's okay. Okay, first off, why would if he had done that to that other person, why would she be having a conversation with him like on the phone? Well, it's possible. Okay, she could be doing it to get him to say something, to get him, to prove. Okay, but they don't have the other side of the conversation. Now they could say, well, it's because she's got to protect. Nobody's going to know who she is by her voice. They could. I know these girls like to talk dirty. They could have just put. So unless you have the other side of the conversation, that's extremely out of context. You have no idea what she's saying. She might like that.
Yeah.
And then we had the video that they talked about where it said he was beating on that woman, and it was a consensual thing. She got on her and said 2 or 3 times, made a video and said it was a consensual thing. I mean, look at the movie 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, the things, that's not my cup of tea, but a lot of women like that kind of stuff. That book was one of the best-selling books in the last 20 years. So, and by 85 or some percent was bought by women. I don't know if that's correct, 75, 80% bought by women. So now, just because they read that, does that mean they're doing that? No, but it does mean they're interested in that. I don't know what their interest is.
Yeah.
So, and like there's a lot of women that like that. So
Yeah, well, that's another thing too. Like you said, you don't have the other side of the conversation. Not only that, we don't know the relationship. We don't know how long they've known each other. We don't know. We aren't seeing the text messages that are probably there that they
Right.
probably had before even calling each other. Because nowadays, before someone calls someone, for the most part, they text them and let them know, and that's the average person, how everybody does it with their own phones and stuff. But like you were saying, we don't have the other side of the story. We don't have the text messages. Why is it that the only part that came out was the part whenever he was saying something bad?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, I personally don't like who we got in the house right now, but he's pretty easily like demonized on the internet. Our president of the United States.
yeah.
Granted, I couldn't do any better. I wouldn't want to be the president, but you see how everybody takes his clips and makes him look awful, makes it look like a senile old man.
He's
is in
not
there.
my pick either, but I don't believe half what I see. 'Cause
Yeah,
I know
so
there's the side to making him look bad, so you don't know whether it's true.
Exactly. So there's always, and there's always 2 sides of the story. There's always 2 sides to the internet. That's what you have to understand. The internet, there's always 2 sides to it. So like I said, the most positive people on there will still be getting that hate from people who are doing nothing with themselves.
Right.
So regardless of what it is, you can either listen to what the person is saying, sit there and take what you believe this person is, or you can believe what everybody else is saying and just, demonize that person as well. So Andrew Tate, and for you, for example, you get people commenting on your videos like, oh, this and that, but I can almost guarantee it. And the reason why I know is because I've been guilty of certain stuff like this too. But I guarantee you they don't even watch your video. They just read the title. They read the title. So, but little do those people know that by commenting,
the haters,
they're
anyway.
bringing more into you. They're bringing more people to you. So if you truly don't like somebody, don't comment about them. Don't post about them because you're giving them more fame. Someone who might be on your Snapchat, your Facebook or whatever might like that person and they'll go and follow after him. You don't have to like everybody and not everybody has to like you. But like, that's one of the things, like I was saying, most of these people won't even watch past 5 seconds of the video.
Yeah.
If most people who are getting ready to type a hate comment or something sat back and saved their time from writing that and just watch the video for a bit, they might not even want to say that afterwards. They might not agree with what you say, but they might not even want to say the terrible comment or whatever it is that they want to comment about you, So like I said, there's always 2 sides and just people don't take the time. People's attention span is on the internet now is not long at all. So they're going to sit there and watch 6 seconds of the video and you're going to say something like, I hate them right off the bat.
That's why shorts and reels are popular.
Are more
Kevin,
popular. Exactly.
Kevin, what's your opinion on Andrew Tate? Why do you think that he's hated by some and loved by others?
I like Andrew Tate, but like, it's just like.
Why do you like him? What
Like-
is it about him that you like?
I don't know. Like, okay, so like, I like the things he say because like they're true. The way he says it, it's like, oh, he's actually speaking facts. But most people are like, oh, he's not telling the truth, or like he's misogynist or something. The reason why I like him is because like he's putting his footprint out there. He's saying like he's like, so even if he did get killed, he still have like his footprint out there and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he created a legacy for himself.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
he speaks his mind. He's kind of like our ex-president. A lot of people didn't like him because he was very crude, blunt,
Mhm.
and I always say he said what he thought, and a lot of these other presidents thought the same thing, but they were too political to say it.
Yeah.
Was he a good example of the white knight president? Of course not, but yet he got things done. Claude, what's your opinion on Andrew Tate?
I
You guys
like-
leave a comment in the go ahead and leave a comment in the chat. Well,
The reason I like him is because of the fact that you got a lot of people who sugarcoat stuff nowadays, but he's just straightforward with it. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and the thing is that's why people don't like it, because there's certain things you can say where you have to sugarcoat it and not to piss people off, but he doesn't care whether he pisses people off or not. And the thing is that he's gonna say it straightforward, and people can either hate him for it or they can agree with him. Another thing about it is that he's waking up people to the reality of what the world is now. Like most people say they're woke, but they're not really woke to how everything is nowadays.
Mhm.
So he's the one that's really waking up people. Not only that, but he's when it comes to certain things he does, like the internet, he takes over that stuff. So the thing that people don't like about him is the fact that no matter how hard they try, they can't get rid of him.
yeah.
Like all those videos where he's been locked up, but he's still out there saying stuff,
Yeah, somebody's putting out content. I don't know if he's doing it or somebody's putting out for him.
Yeah, it's like another reason they hate him is because they can't get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's just not the kind of person
Well,
you can get rid
I
of.
don't know if they can or not. I hope they don't. They've definitely put him in a spot now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Paulina, why do you think some people call him a? Are you on your phone? Get off your phone. I'm talking to your boyfriend. Why do you think some people call him a misogynist, or why do you think he's considered sexist or misogynist?
Because everything he says is taken out of context. Everything he says that's put on the internet is always taken out of context, so people label him as some horrible guy without watching his actual videos. I know people who have told me they hate Andrew Tate but have never seen one of his actual videos and only seen clips from TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, kind of like Mark said, people they got their attention span is so short they don't want to sit and watch the whole thing. They would rather just form their opinion off a
Mhm.
clip.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not much for the president we have now, but I watch some of those videos where they make him look like he's got Alzheimer's, and maybe he does, but I'm not. I would have to meet him first because I know how they. It's so easy now to clip things up or to make they can just really manipulate.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Manipulate
one of the
stuff.
most dangerous things about the internet is just how easy it is to manipulate. It's so much power. There's so much power in
Well,
the
who
internet
couldn't? If you've ever spent any time putting out any kind of content and talking, or if they record everything you guys said, they could find anything on anybody and cut it up and make it look
Of
like you're some
course.
kind of
now.
monster.
Of course.
I mean, the way they can cut things up.
I was gonna say, what's it called? You want to answer that question in the comments?
Is there one? Oh, I didn't see it.
How can I
hey
be-
Zach,
how-
how you doing? How can I be a man when it seems taboo or to do
do
so?
so.
Man, I know I don't get that now. It's so different now. Who wants to answer that question? Henry?
He said, "How can I be a man when it seems so taboo to do so, or
Zach.
wrong to do so?"
I mean, yeah, it is kind of difficult, especially in that generation nowadays,
Yeah.
because if you're being a man, you get attacked for it and stuff.
Mhm.
That's one of the reasons what I thought about when you guys started posting my 5 videos,
Yeah.
like who's gonna come and hate or something or
Mhm.
say something. I don't know, honestly. I'm not sure. How that
I think I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing is that you can be a man and people are gonna hate you for it, but the thing is that you have to be willing to, like, people are obviously gonna hate you for it, but you can't let it phase you.
Yeah.
There's people that will agree with you. They'll be cool with you being a man, and there's people that will attack you for it, but you almost have to be impenetrable to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, and
People are gonna hate you, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But not-
another thing with
not
that
everybody's gonna hate
is I've noticed that the more of a man I started becoming as I gotten older, that I started attracting more friends that are like me. So,
Yeah.
once you start becoming this person, then you start attracting people like that. You don't usually attract that negative attention
Yeah,
unless you're
exactly.
looking for it usually.
And you may find out, Zach, when you start doing manly things, that some of these people that maybe are trying to hold you back or telling you that it's wrong are going to try to pull you back.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Another
gonna
thing you
want
can
to
look at.
change.
Another thing you could look at is who you hang around. Who you
Yeah.
hang around
Yeah.
says a lot about you. So if you're hanging
Sports,
around,
I mean, football. Brado plays football. You're boxing. I used to box. Claude boxes. He wrestled, played football. Get into some kind of contact
Yeah.
sport. I believe all men have a warrior inside of them, and if you can express that some way, basketball or whatever. I mean, men just like to get in there and rough it up, but we're discouraged from doing that by school teachers. And I don't even think you can run on the playground in the MSC anymore, can you? They won't let you run on the play. We used to have monkey bars. We climbed trees, do all that stuff. So it's almost like they want the young boys to be like young girls, sit in a little row, but you can control those people much easier.
Well, I think honestly, I think that's part of being a man. You know, like you are going to have people who hate you for it and that demonize you for being a man. That's part of it. I think whenever you're doing things and people are, saying it's wrong because you're being toxic, you're giving toxic masculinity or whatever they might want to say. I think that's when you're really doing it right. You know what I mean? Whenever people start trying to dig at you, the people who don't feel good, like you said, you're never ever going to have any negative comments or any negativity coming up you from places above. It's always from people below you.
Yeah, hate always comes from below.
So I think that personally, like that is part of being a man. It is gonna part of being a man is feeling like what you're doing is taboo, because nowadays, at least, because being a man isn't what guys actually do, So nowadays, back then it probably wasn't taboo to do certain things that really represent you as a man. Now it seems so taboo because of what the internet is. The internet will also damage your perspective on the world.
Yeah,
that's true.
So you sit there and constantly watch these videos, and I've even had it myself. Sometimes it feels like there's part of me, I'm like, man, dude, like women are really cruel. And then there's other parts where it's like, oh no, women are super sweet and stuff like that. So my mind changes depending on what I'm being fed. But I notice whenever I get off the internet, like right now, we're taking a social media cleanse and everything. I'm able to form my own opinion about things. I'm able to stop dehumanizing women in the sense that I now understand that they do what they do because that's what they know best, kind of like us men, So I guess how to be a man when it seems so taboo to do so, just do it. You know what I mean? Like, what are you who's to tell you, who's telling you it's taboo? You know what I mean? Do what you want. I mean, think about it like this. If you look a certain way or something, it's taboo for you to try to go play basketball, or try to become a professional football player or a rapper or whatever that might be. But it's only taboo if you let it be like that in your mind. It's only wrong if you let it be like that. So pretty much that's my input on that.
What amazes me is how some people will say that he's misogynistic and he hates women, but yet he talks about how he protect women if somebody come up, which I'm sure he would. And I've been called the same thing, and I do the same. I protect women, put my life on the line for women. And what are you doing?
Let me get a drink of your water.
Dad, you got another question in the comments?
Henry's big head's in the way here. Since he won that fight, he's got a big ego and his head's swelled. What's your definition of a man, Mr. Day? Definition of a man. A man is a person who stands up for what he believes in. He speaks out. He doesn't care what other people think about him. He cares more about what he thinks about himself. He lives his own life, walks his own path, and he has a mission and a purpose in life. He takes care of his family if he has a family. He takes care of his woman if he has a woman, and he'll stand up and die for her if he needs to be. That's part of a definition of man. There's more to that, but in general, that's what I believe a man is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, honestly, that's pretty much like if I was to, my definition was derived from, what pretty much you have taught me in life and everything like that. I don't believe the definition of a man is different for everybody. I don't believe that, like you said, a man is a man who does what he needs to do, follows his goal, follows his true, his true calling, I guess, for the lack of better words and everything like that. So what do you think about that, Bloud?
Kind of zoned out there for a second, but yeah.
Well, come on back, boy.
Well, I was thinking about what Mark said earlier about Andrew being a voice for a lot of
young guys,
young men, a lot of misunderstood young men too. And it definitely helped me watching some of his videos after I had broken up with the ex and was like drinking a lot and stuff like that, because it made me realize that I wasn't doing what a man should do. Mm-hmm. And then one day I just decided to start doing boxing. And I've been doing it ever since. And I actually couldn't be any happier. Exactly. It really makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what you and I have been talking about the last couple of days, about how we truly felt happy, because lately we've been doing what feels like it's right. You always tell us, what to do next. You know, now granted, there's days where I struggle, like, you know, the day that you and I were talking in the kitchen and stuff, we were having a conversation about it and all that. But, you know, the problem is a lot of men and young men don't have a clue how to express themselves. Not only that, but who to express themselves to.
Well, they're afraid too. In today's society, somebody was saying something to me, a comment, one of the haters. I guess you think it's all right to whistle at girls. I guess that's if you whistle at a girl now, that's considered rude.
Yeah,
unless you're attractive and she likes you.
And,
if she doesn't, then it's like harassment.
Harassment. Yeah. So like going back to like what you said, you know, really for the most part, like a lot of people don't have a great support system like we do. And, you know, most people that might watch these videos, might be watching this right now, might be thinking, oh, all them boys in that table are privileged. They got their dad. You know, some people might think that, and we pretty much are, because a lot of young men in the United States, really in the world, if you'll notice, I mean, you got fans from probably all over the world, but they don't have a voice. They don't have anybody to lead them. They want to be leaders, but they don't have anybody to learn how to be a leader,
Right.
you know, and they don't know where the first step is. If I didn't have you, and if I didn't have YouTube and the internet, I would have no idea what the first step to being a man is, or what I would even have to do next to it. Now you have a question, you can ask it on the internet, and you can get, if you don't want to read about it, you can get a video, you know what I'm saying? Like to get answers. I remember whenever you started this YouTube journey and everything like that, you would always tell me to watch certain people. You'd send me certain videos and stuff like that. And then I started realizing, I'm like, oh, all the answers are on the internet. If I have a question, I can just go ask it. Now, granted, I have you and I have Henry and I have a whole family as a very good support system, but you know, I used the internet for my advantage right there. So I used it to look up any situation that I had and try to overcome it with that.
Let's ask Paulina what her idea of a man is. She
Is
really
that just my question?
What's that?
What's your idea of a man?
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody who can stand up for me and not be a little wuss. Because that happens all the time.
You like them to be vulnerable and cry in front of you, right?
No.
Tell them how much they need you and they can't. You don't like that?
No.
Well, there's a big push out there for men to be vulnerable and share their feelings with their girlfriend.
I was going to talk about that actually.
Well, let's hear what you got to say about that.
I
You
saw
guys
this.
listen up.
I saw this post the other day, about how girls don't like when guys, you know, cry in front of them and they can't help it. Girls can't help that they don't like that type of stuff.
Right.
Like, it's been proven that girls cannot help that. It's the same thing as guys can't help some of the things that they do. Like, quite literally, they cannot help it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
It's their nature.
yeah, it's how it works. Like, it's their nature. Like, back then, I know guys didn't used to cry in front of their wives all the time when they had money troubles or things like that. So I feel like it's just kind of a girl's nature not to be attracted to something like that, because I mean, there's been guys who I've really, really liked and they've cried in front of me, and I just automatically became unattracted towards them. And I think because it shows weakness, and I can't help it. Like it's just something that I can't help.
The nature of a
Yeah.
woman. They just don't.
Yeah, for sure.
You might get away with it once, but can you move over this way just a little bit?
You want me to read it for you, Pops?
No, this way.
There was one thing I was gonna say about what you were talking about, Mark. How Andrew Tate's like a voice for men. What I like about the fact that Andrew is like, you know, he's a voice for younger men, is that when he talks and people listen to his videos and all that sort of stuff, they start to embrace the man in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They start to embrace the masculinity that they have.
Young men are looking for some. You know, they're attracted to masculinity. It's just it's so lacking in today's society.
Yeah.
You got something?
Yeah, I see a lot of videos on my Instagram nowadays about embracing masculinity and stuff like that. There's a lot of people like pushing
the agenda.
Well,
Which is
actually,
good, you know?
I want to add on to that. Most people don't know what they don't know. For Andrew Tate, he may say some points that everybody agrees on, and people that had the view of a different idea, let's say their parents told them, oh, it's okay to express your feelings in that, they might not take that into consideration. They might take the one-sided view on that. And for instance, they might not think that's a good idea, so they just won't go out of their way until try it until they actually do and realize it works.
Well, there's nothing wrong with expressing your feelings. It's just there's a time and a place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have the idea that to be stoic means to like suppress and stuff your feelings. What it means is to be able to control your emotions and be able to act what you need, act in the way you need to act at the time, even though you're feeling this emotion, then you need to express it when at the right time and right.
Yeah.
It may be the right time and the right place. I've been in situations where I was afraid, but I can't cower back and act afraid. I got to protect who's like when I lived out of the country. There,
Yeah,
I had
of course.
to protect your mom down there because people was attacking us, and so I don't have time to. I remember the one time when I got robbed down there, I had to act. And then I really didn't feel the adrenaline and the fear till after they were gone and it was over. But you can't just buckle and you asked what it was to be a man. Being a man means to be able to act in situations of danger. That's one thing, without crumbling under the pressure. Napoleon had this. He said he called it 4 o'clock morning courage. What that is, he could wake a soldier up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They were ready to fight right then. Not everybody has that, but that's something you want to develop. In our coddled society today, people think, "Oh, I'll just call the police."
Yeah.
Well, there's times when the police can't get there in time, so you need to be man enough that you can handle situations like that. You may never have to handle that, but being able to, that gives you a certain air as a man that women pick up on also, like Paulina was talking about. She meets a lot of guys and dates, but yet most of them are weak and are soft. After a little while, they show their weak nature, and it's very unattractive.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that men should not show their feelings, but they need to go share that with their dad, their best friend, or their mentor, not with their girlfriend, because like she said, they can't help it. They don't feel safe with a guy. Like that.
And I mean, disgusted and just kind of,
let me get
unsure.
Chat here. Daniel Hernandez said, I grew up without my dad, and for a long time, I blamed him for not teaching me how to be a man. I was in 2 long-term relationships with single moms, plugged in as heck. It took me Googling my problems to find Tommy Sotomayor, then the red pill. My mom, a single mom, really screwed me up saying, do the right thing. And that's what women tell you to do. Well, be nice to her, buy her flowers, because they don't know. Most women don't know. It's a rare woman that knows what really makes them attracted to a man.
Of course.
They'll tell you they want a nice guy. They can find 100 nice guys within 10 miles of them. But do they go for the nice guy? No, they go for the guy that can do without him. He doesn't need her. He's fun. He's exciting. Sometimes he's the bad boy.
Actually, I want to add on to his question. So whenever I was younger, my original dad left me, and I recently, not too long ago, lost my other dad. And the first thing I actually had done is found a group of people that I can trust and I can come to for some moral support. So I would say that if you have no one, that's your best go at.
Yeah, you need to seek out mentorship.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I had my dad, I left home when I was about 15, and I saw that I had mentors. I always had mentors. I had a guy that taught me how would I say, navigate the world of women.
Yeah.
And when I got older, I had another guy teach me how to navigate the world of boxing. I did triathlons, and then when things got tough and life was going a difficult way, I had a guy teach me how to live life when I was about an older man, rough guy.
Well, I have a good comment about what he said here. He said that he grew up without his dad, and for a long time he blamed him for not teaching him how to be a man. That's normal, and I can almost guarantee, I'm just making an assumption here. I was in the same situation. We all were in the same situation. Our mother demonized our dad and made him seem like a monster to us, even though deep down inside we knew that wasn't necessarily the case. That's the big problem nowadays. You get bitter women making up false narratives about these kids' dads because they hate them, and they don't care if those kids hate the dad for the rest of their life. They just want to win that argument or that fight or whatever that might be. We experienced that with our mom. She made us believe that you were somebody that you weren't.
You guys were only separated from me for what, a couple years?
A couple years or so, but within that time frame, she was
time for kids.
Exactly, and we're so young and so impressionable at the moment that we ate it up. What mom tells you is the truth. It has to be the truth. And then so we had created this fake image of you in our head until we started seeing you more and everything, and realized, oh, dad's actually the better parent. He seems to be actually the better parent. That's why when you actually asked us if we wanted to come up to the United States, there was no questions asked about it. Because here was this thing for us, and here was the thing for me mainly. whether or not you were telling us the truth about everything, your actions spoke louder than your words. You know, you were trying to get us, you were trying to see us, you actually wanted to be with us rather than being worried about getting us because for the financial benefits.
Right.
You know, there was financial benefits if she would have got us, or so she thought. You know, so you actually loved us for who we actually were and everything like that. And what it seemed like to us, even though we were young, it seemed like the only reason why she wanted us was for that child support.
Right.
So she did get us to hate you for a while, but now we couldn't have a stronger relationship with you, you know, than we do now, because of, like I said, simply because of your actions, because you took the steps that a man would take. You know, you left us behind to come do something, and now look, we're in a better situation than we could have ever even asked for. You know, so that's
What's up, Wade?
what's up, Wade? Hey, Wade Emery said what's up to everybody. But anyway, so no, like I definitely understand what Daniel's saying here whenever he said that he blamed his dad for a lot of it. I thought, you know, for a long time I blamed you because you and mom were always fighting, but little did I know you were trying to make things work for us, you know, not necessarily for yourself or for her, but you were trying to do it for us. So, I mean, it's good that you were able to sit there and Google your problems and everything and find somebody that you could follow. If I have any advice to anybody my age, between 20 to 23, I'd say get on the internet and type it your exact problems that you're having and find yourself a leader, find yourself someone who you can listen to and someone who really speaks to you. You might have to go through 30, 40 different YouTubers, but if that's what it takes, you know, or maybe you might find a book of some sort, do what you have to do. Try to find somebody who you can follow, try to find somebody who can lead you in the right direction. And then after that, take your own steps and, you know, mold your life to what you think you want it to be and everything.
We don't have any heroes anymore. There are like hardly any masculine heroes. They've become somewhat feminine. Back in my day, we had John Wayne. I don't know if you guys know any of those guys. And even up lately, some of the guys they have now are like, well, they have the women as the heroes and not the men.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I want to add on to that. I will say one thing. You cannot assume that you're going to instantly get that advice and just be excellent at it, perfected in just like 1 hour of it. You actually have to go out of your way and you have to go get that experience yourself too. So
take action on it.
Take the advice and then put it into your own way of life.
Exactly. And that's like really, that's just like anything else. Everybody's looking for the instant gratification. But with this process, like, you know, if you're lost, if you feel lost and you happen to be watching this, take your time, go slow, you know, just like you tell us. What you said something to me a while back, the greatest things come after a long time or something, or after a long time of waiting or something along those lines. But finding somebody, like you said, we are very lucky that the person that we followed and the person that we have to lead us is our dad. Not too many people get that opportunity.
I can just hear some of the more, let me say, strong, independent women saying, he's got them kids brainwashed.
Exactly.
Well, you know, there's certain truth to that. I can either allow my kids to be to be programmed by my agenda or by someone else's agenda. Like some of these people, I don't want to mention any names, but some of the popular people out there that I wouldn't want you guys to be too influenced by.
Well, and even if, here's the thing about it though, like we were saying, now you can see what everybody has to say on the internet, you know? So if we really didn't want to follow in your agenda or follow in your footsteps, all we'd have to do is go take a look at something else. But the only thing that's offered us foolproof, I guess, answers and results, not only for us, but for everybody around us, is this way of thinking, is this way of life, it's this way, it's being a man. You know, when you're actually true to your calling. I was built to do something, you know, like as a man, I was put on this earth as a man to do a certain thing. I cannot deny that, you know, I can't deny that that's what I'm here for, whatever that might be. I can't deny it. I have to accept the fact that I'm a man. I have to do what a man has to do. And whether I like it or not, that's just how it's going to be. You know, a lot of people are not okay with having a position. They feel almost as if they were done wrong by being put on this earth as a man or whatever. You know, I don't know. It's just what you've taught us a lot recently and throughout the years is just taking responsibility, being okay with yourself and taking responsibility for your life, you know, for everything that comes at you. Like you said, is I can't remember what you create the situation or something like that. You create all situations. So
Paulina, what do you think the term toxic masculinity means? Because a lot of people say Tate is toxically masculine.
I don't think Tate is necessary. I don't think he's got toxic masculinity. I think toxic masculinity is when a guy is constantly putting down women or constantly saying stuff to make himself seem like a bigger person, but putting other people down. That's not what Tate does. Tate talks about how women are like extremely precious. Like they can do some stuff that men can't do.
See, and that's what people don't. All they talk about is they say, "Well, he's always making fun of women. He's doing this." Yeah, like you said, but he does talk about how valuable and important women are, but they don't. They seem to miss all that, and they talk about when he's joking and making fun about it. It's like people can't take a joke. As I said, when I was growing up, the men, we joked about women, and women joked about men.
Yeah, I feel like toxic masculinity is when somebody puts down women extremely and tries to make
like an incel.
trying to make himself, a bigger person or something like that. But that's not at all what Tate does. So I don't think he's got any toxic masculinity. It's not toxic masculinity. It's just him not having a filter and talking about things that need to be talked about.
Yeah, nowadays. You got something to say, Kevin?
Yeah, I seen this. There's one girl where I guess she like said that like Andrew did stuff to her because she he didn't buy her like a house or something, and apparently she like wanted all this like TikTok fame, so that's why she probably hooked up with him. And coming back to what I think it was either Braden or what he said, I know it was Daniel. He said like, I know it was you. My fault. It was you.
It don't matter. Go ahead.
You said you have to like buy flowers for a girl. Like you have to be nice.
Yeah, that's what they tell you. Yeah.
I've done that. It never works out well.
Yeah, and like what they say, nice guys always finish last. Like they always get like broken up with you. You obviously have to be like a bad boy sometimes. Like in a relationship, you can't let like when a girl
women get bored. Nice guys,
they get like bored, and if they go for attention, that's mostly what they always want.
The coin of gold for women is attention. That's true.
I do want to say something to that, Kevin. One thing from my experience is the kindness goes both ways. In order for you to get the flowers and stuff, you would have to show respect and stuff like that from your woman. But if she's disrespecting you, then you kind of retract that attention.
Exactly.
Oh, you mean you actually wanted to cooperate? Some people call that submission. My God, they don't like that.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty funny what Danielle said here. He said, my mom raised me telling me I'm proud of my son. He's a one-man woman and indoctrinated me to serve the other single moms that I was with. That's a big problem now. Like a lot of people think, and really, you don't have to, have a bunch of women at once, you know what I mean, to show what kind of man you are. That's not what makes you a man, No,
that's right. No, having a high body count for a man, it does not make you a man. And it doesn't always necessarily mean you're good with women.
Exactly.
It means you're good at getting laid, but there's a hell of a difference between that and having an LTR or actually being good with women or being good at life.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, a lot of young men now, and even some older men, think that's what makes them a man, exactly. And I've experienced, I thought that too when I was younger. So, my goal was just like, but one female after female after female after female after female. That's what I thought made me a man, but amongst my friends it did, because they're like, they used to call me the man too. It's like,
so, I'm like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'm doing what I want to do. But I realized I'm like, why do I feel like shit? I'm like, man.
After a while.
So then, I realized I've had a few long-term relationships. Like one was 5 years, another one. But anyway, it's like I'm getting to. It's just pretty much like I think it's more, being a man in that aspect is what you can maintain. Can you actually maintain something for a long time?
I had, my relationship for like 5 years or something like that, and I did pretty good at maintaining it. Just beside the fact that I couldn't stay loyal.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, really,
even though because I made an agreement, like obviously, like when we started dating, I did agree to be loyal.
Of course.
So I couldn't just start messing around.
Yeah,
and be like, what the heck?
So Danielle has another question that he said. Daniel said, "How many dads are unplugged and red pilled these days?"
Well, not too many. I know when I go to my clients' houses, a lot of times even some of the older ones. Well, let's go ask the boss. Few men. Well, the problem here in the U.S. is, and Tate talks about that too. Men, when you marry a woman here in the U.S., you're marrying the court system too.
Yeah.
And she's got all the power. I mean, and then once she realizes that, there's a real good chance that she's going to use that to
Mhm.
get her way, and it just doesn't work out too well.
You know, I personally don't think that it's a problem to get married as long as you keep the damn government out of it. You know,
Yeah.
honestly, like really, just have your ceremony, have your own
that's
time.
what I talked about.
Because,
like,
yeah,
when
of
I was
cour-
in a relationship,
Exactly.
not
So
getting legally, like, you know, with all the legal stuff, but having the ceremony and all that.
because really, at the end of the day, if you guys are getting married, who is the only people that really matters to is you and your,
Yeah.
you know, the person that you're deciding to marry. So really, like, you know, as long as you keep, you know, the big guy out of it, just because, you know, you don't want to. And then, you know, and if you want to go that way, you know, if a woman truly loves you, like I've said to past relationships, whenever we talked about it, I was like, I'd like for you to, if you really love me, I'd like for you to sign a prenup. And, you know, most girls, like I said, if they really love you and care about you, they're like, oh yeah, for sure. That's not a problem. Now, if they fight it, then you might want to quit. That might be a
Yeah,
big
right.
screaming red flag right there, right off the bat for you. But yeah, like I said, like you said, Daddy, you know, there's not many at all. Most of it's either my buddies don't have a dad, and I can see right through it, but my buddies don't have a dad because of their moms, or their dad's in their life,
Right.
and the mom controls everything. You know, I remember asking some of my buddies back in middle school, and you know, when I was real young, you want to come stay the night? And they're just like, oh yeah, I got to go ask my mom. And in my head, I'm like, why? I'm like, you know, I've always been used to asking my dad, you know, even whenever mom was around, she'd go ask your dad. Go ask your dad. It was always go ask your dad, because that's really who made the top decision in the house for me. That's just how we were raised up.
Well, let's ask our camera tech man a question. He's back here being all quiet. Frank, why do you think that? Well, first off, none of us know whether Tate is innocent or guilty. Of course, I'm on his side. I think he's probably innocent because I've been through similar things with the system, and I know how easy it is for somebody to get on you and accuse you when they don't like you. So, but none of us really know. Why do you think that they arrested Tate, Frank? Why do you think? Of course, you know they banned it. They banned him first, and then actually it was funny because they banned him, and he actually became more popular band than he was before.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've arrested him, so who knows what's going to happen there?
Well, before you keep going, there's been riots. I don't know if you've seen that. There's been literal riots and protests about him getting locked up in Romania and Russia and all stuff like that. There's
Well,
been.
think about that. Look at all the. I know people get pissed off about this, but look at the people throughout history that were famous and actually made a difference in the world. They, at the time of their life, before they got crucified or killed or burned or whatever they happened to be, they were considered criminals by a lot of the people. That's where, and then another part of the people thought they were heroes. But then after they died, their movement kept going. So, Frank, what do you think? Why do you think they arrested him?
Probably because he was making such a big impact on men and younger men, especially. I guess girls don't like it when guys are more masculine. They like when they're submissive towards them.
Yeah.
Ever since I actually started watching Andrew Tate after having a simp moment. You know, I started watching Andrew Tate, and
Everybody's had a simp moment
honestly,
sometime in their life.
everything he says is never it's never a lie. Usually, all of it is the truth and what guys need to do, what men need to do in order to keep the woman that you want.
Most guys don't agree with that. Don't have a woman, or they're henpecked. We used to say, or what's the word? Simps, or whatever. They don't have the experience to realize that there is another way. And go ahead.
Yeah, and I was in a relationship where I started using the masculinity and everything, and that lasted a pretty good amount of time. But I guess the girl didn't end up liking it, so she went and messed with some other guys. So I mean, I just moved on. I didn't really care at that point. But yeah, I don't honestly. In my opinion, I think Andrew Tate's. I think he's innocent.
Hey, welcome, Danny.
I don't think he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Let's ask Paulina. Paulina, why don't you like nice guys?
Free Tate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like when guys have more of like a sweet side to them. I think what I'm most attracted to is when a guy is just absolutely mean to everybody else but me. Like, not like,
Makes you feel special.
not like a sweetheart to me, but like, you know, nicer than he is to other people. So like I feel
In
like
the horse's mouth, you guys.
I feel like that's what I'm attracted to, and
What
I
do you
feel like
think it is about that attracts you?
probably the fact that it's like I'm not like everybody else. I mean, I know my value, and I have high standards for a good reason, because I am like, I have potential to be a good wife, a good girlfriend. Like, so my standards are
My
set.
God, a good wife.
I
That's
my
why I go out and have a career.
my standards are set high for a reason, and things like that. But
No hot girl summer. No hot girl
never
summer.
that.
your
I just-
304 face.
I mean, there's a lot of people around here
Not in my house.
who I've seen that like used to
God, he's
be like,
controlling.
okay, can you stop talking? But I've seen a lot of girls who I used to be close with that used to be like really pretty, and then I find out that they sleep with all these guys, and you can see it.
Yeah,
you
it takes the
can-
sparkle out of their eyes.
You can see like how much a drain they are, because there's this girl I used to hang out with during the summer all the time. She used to be really pretty, and she started sleeping around dating older guys, and now she looks
Oh, I think I might know who you're talking about.
she looks
no,
like a mess, a disaster.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, Daniel, I've been called.
Chihuahua.
I've had people tell me, Daniel, I need to go back to the 13th century and crawl back under the rock. I came off Martin. So yeah, these ideas don't smooth out too good with some of the younger generation.
That's for sure. I've actually had like one girl call me an old man because she was like, "Hey, you still believe in the tradition? You're like an old man." She's like, "Why? You probably like an old man too." I'm like, "Okay, I mean, like, and that's my thing, like that right there is like part of like what somebody asked earlier. Like, how do I be a man when it seems so taboo? That right there, you're going to receive like backlash from you actually especially now, you're going to receive backlash for being actually being
People
a
want you to
man.
knuckle under. They want to be able to control you. So they don't. And that's one thing I think the reason they're after Tate. He's telling men to stand up and be men, go to the gym, find some purpose, have some goals, do something with yourself. That's really the message, instead of following the crowd and complying to the matrix or the agenda.
Yeah.
We're taught from the time we start school, preschool, to comply. And most all the teachers are women. And actually from the time we're born, if our moms are taking care of us. So we're indoctrinated throughout high school and college to supplicate and seek the approval of women.
And that's one of the things. So for example, you as you know now, I taught a class this week at the high school, and it was a class that I used to be in. Now, granted, I dropped out of school, and that was the decision for me as a man that I wanted to make, and I wanted to go out into the world and experience it and feel it even more. But I feel like I wouldn't have been able to lead that class and captivated those young men's attention if it wasn't for the way that you've talked to us, the way that you've taught me how to lead, the way that I've seen you lead. I lead based off of example, because the way that you lead. That's why, for the most part, if you look at our group of friends, the one person who's always up front, the one person who's always making the decisions is usually me. And everybody gravitates. I've noticed that like the older I've gotten, more people gravitate towards me because of the lack of a leader. And then on top of that, as for many years, a lot of my friends and the guys' friends have came over and said that they use our house almost as a getaway. And for example, Michael, he's like, "Oh yeah, your dad's like my dad." Even though you don't have personal time with him, whenever you sit down and talk to us and, tell us your stories and everything, it actually moves people. It moves people like
And there's
Michael, for
actual
example.
structure here.
There's
Dad's made a home for us.
Exactly. So people who don't have a home used to come here all the time. People wanted to be here. They wanted to be people stayed here for weeks at a time. There'd be times where you'd be like, "Hey, you might want to tell them to go home," and then I'd explain the situation to you, and then they'd be here for even longer. And
now that's not to say, we're not saying that these kids wouldn't have been better off if they had a mother and a father. It's just that's the way it worked out. I've been their dad and she's been gone for 10 or 12 years now. Because a woman can do, and this is something women get pissed off about that, but a woman can do what men can do. Like Paulina, for example, she's always the one talking about, "Why don't we have a family dinner? Let's get together as a family. Let's do this." Women are more orientated and directed toward building relationships. Men should be out there conquering the world, more or less. And if you're not a man out there conquering the world, doing something, women aren't going to be attracted to you. A woman is attracted to a man who's on a purpose, on a mission. And his mission is not just to go out and get laid or to get a woman or making that woman his whole life.
Exactly.
And it seems like that's the agenda or the narrative that's pushed nowadays, is like, well, you just find you a woman, everything will be okay, and you treat her
Yeah.
like a prince. What do they say? Treat a woman like a queen, she'll treat you like a servant. Treat her like a star, she'll treat you like a fan. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I've experienced both sides of that.
Yeah, and I mean, like we were saying earlier, you know, even too, I came to realize this the older that I've gotten, but you know, and I understand it now, and it's kind of hard to grasp the concept of it. But you know, not both parents isn't always good. You know, having both parents isn't always good. For example, in our situation, you know, I would pick just having pops over
Yeah.
having both 1,000 times over and over again because of what we learned. Yeah, it's been harder in some situations because, like you said, a woman, you know, you've always been able, you've loved us and everything and showed us care, but you weren't able to show us the care and love and like the nourishment and the sweetness that a woman can, you know,
Yeah.
like you said. In my opinion, it takes two. You know, it takes two with two completely
Yeah, that's
different roles.
optimal.
You
It's
know,
optimal,
so you know, so you got both, you know, dad, and this is how I always thought, even when mom was around and even after she wasn't, I've always thought about it as two complete things. Mom gives you the love, the unconditional love, and dad gives you the tough love. You know, that's how I've always thought about it, you know, and that's what seems kind of ideal to me.
I actually want to add on
Go
to
ahead.
something you said, Mark. It's talking about the guys that always kind of thought of your dad as the father figure. I do want to say, I don't want to get emotional or anything. Whenever I lost
We'll
my
have to kick you out.
yeah. Whenever
Gotta
I
stuff
lost
your feelings here. Go
whenever
ahead.
I lost my stepdad, or whenever I had my first like breakup, I came to Henry or Mark or Claude, the older guys, and they always suggested go talk to my dad.
Mhm.
And then one time Henry actually brought you down, and then that was kind of like the breaking point between where I took you as like, oh yeah, he's like a cool dad, to where I took you more as you're like the dad I never had. No, I love my dad and everything,
Yeah.
but I take you as like a second dad, and I just wanted to say thank you for
Yeah,
that.
well, after I slapped you around a little bit and told you to man up. No, it's a joke, you guys. We're not promoting violence here.
But no, I mean, yeah, like for example, like that. I mean, really, it's just nowadays it's a lack of leadership. There's just a big lack of leadership, and due to the fact that there's a lack of men. You know,
Right.
it's hard. It's hard. Even now, my friends, you know, the friends that I have now, which is now a small, tiny portion of them, either they were already men because they had their dad. For example, like Gavin Livingston, he's one of my best friends.
Oh yeah.
He has his dad in his life, and his dad is probably one of the most cutthroat people I've ever met. But he's seriously super smart, and Gavin took after him. Gavin graduated a year early. Gavin has his own property. Gavin has multiple vehicles, all of his new toys and stuff like that, you know, and that's one person that I've really followed behind because that's my best friend. So, you know, like Gary and Michael and everything. At first they were kind of, you know, iffy at first, but as they hung out with us the more and more they hung out with us, I've noticed the more they embrace themselves as men.
Exactly.
You know, like they're not scared to do it because everyone else around them is doing it. You know, it's kind of like whenever you're young, you see everybody smoking a cigarette, you're like, I know I shouldn't do that, but you know, you grab the cigarette anyways because everyone else is doing it around you. Most people will follow off of example.
Yeah.
You know, the average person will, especially, or the average man or boy will, especially because they don't have nobody to lead them. You know, that's why you get a lot of people who are super feminine.
People get into gangs too.
Exactly.
Because they're looking for some kind of leadership.
Exactly. They're looking for leadership. So for example, I feel like, I'll be honest with you, if we wouldn't have came here to the United States when we did, you know how many women we were raised by, how many women we lived around. I can almost guarantee you we would probably be on the other side of the fence if we were
part of what you're around.
Exactly.
Danny Arnold said pedestalization is the surest way to get used and walked on. That's
Yeah.
true because women don't want to be pedestalized, even though they act like they do.
They say they do, and really, and in my opinion, you know, they want it for 5 minutes. That's what they want. You know, they want that for 5 minutes, but then you got to bring it right back down. You have to have, oh man, and really not even, you can't even put him on a pedestal ever.
Well,
really.
let's ask Paulina. How do you like it when they pedestalize you? And what is actually when I say to you, how do you like it when a guy pedestalized? What does that mean to you, or how is that for you?
Every morning, good morning, beautiful.
I love you, honey.
I was looking
Night.
through one of my old ex's text messages the other day,
What's up, husband?
and I was reading it and I was like, oh my god, I dated him for a
Yeah.
really long
Cringe.
time.
I see
It,
the
Yeah.
cringe alert here.
Yeah.
it was like me constantly on a pedestal, but at the same time he was cheating on me, which I do not understand how that works at all. Because how can you sit there and text a girl good morning and good night messages in these just long paragraphs and then somehow still cheat
Well, that's
on
why
her?
he was doing it, because he knew he was doing something.
Yeah, so
technically he wasn't.
it
I
just
guess,
is like
supposed to.
being put on a pedestal constantly is just tiring because it's
Mhm.
just makes you want to
You
throw
just
up a
wanted to
little
say
bit.
no, right? No, I'm not coming to get you.
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna see you tonight.
Like I was telling you, Dad, like whenever you and I were talking up in the room yesterday, what was it? Oh, I made that analogy about, think about it like this: you're constantly hypothetically, this is just okay. So women, they're constantly fed sugar. So for example, you eat brownies, you eat chocolate, you eat this, you eat that. It's sugar, sweet, sweet, sweet. You're so used to sugar, you're like, you almost get a craving for something salty after a
Yeah.
minute. So and that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, that's right. You said that today.
yes, and that's what I'm saying.
Salty dog.
The salty dog. They don't want this sweet shit all the time, just like you don't want it. You don't want to eat brownies and candies and sweet. Sometimes you'll get up in the middle of the night, it's like, I'm craving something salty. That's how women are. So one day they'll wake up and they're not craving that sweet shit no more. They're
Yeah.
craving something salty. They're craving.
Husband said he's covered himself because he's cheating. So when he's pedestalizing her, he's covering himself because he's cheating. And that's a good point. It could be that, or he just has got such low self-esteem. He feels like if he doesn't worship her, she's
Yeah.
not.
Yep. Well,
And guys do that too because
That's what I'm saying though. Like when I got cheated on afterwards, I didn't know he could have put me on a higher pedestal, but I was like
was he-
right here and he put me all the way
even
up
higher
here.
when you
Now,
find
was, he,
out.
was he cheating on you?
Yeah, he was cheating on me.
Good point, husband.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even like when I did find out afterwards, he had put me on such a higher pedestal so I wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
And he would just be like,
he's a sly one.
he would just be like, oh my god, like I was a mistake, like I didn't even like her, blah blah, and then he'd just go do it again.
Yeah.
So
Well, and here's my thing about that. I was sitting here thinking even that, a lot of guys that I'm sure you've heard about this a couple times, but and I want you to let me know what you think about this, because I know you've had it happen to you before. And the reason why I know is because when I was young, I was guilty of it. But a lot of guys, when they're talking to a really pretty girl, they'll be like, oh yeah, but I don't know why you would even talk to. I'm
oh my
surprised you even
god,
replied
it's
back
called
to
a
me.
pick me guy.
Yeah.
Oh my! I've
pick-me's.
never hated somebody more. I absolutely hate pick me guys because they sit there and they're like, "You're just so beautiful. I don't understand why you're with a guy like me.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough
That
for you."
makes me cringe.
And it's
Yeah.
like I'm not good enough for you. It's like I have my standards set high not to hear this, so I just
Yeah.
leave because it's like my standards are set high for a reason.
Yeah. So would you rather hear that, or would you rather hear a guy say, as much of an asshole as he sounds like, would you rather hear him say, "You're lucky that you even can
Yes.
be with me"?
Yes.
You rather hear that?
Because I would rather not sit there and listen to, I don't even know why you reply to me. And it's just like, ew. I know
I say men better to err on the side of arrogance than debasing.
I know
Yeah.
I know girls who are, date other girls that are more manly than the man's than the
Oh
more
my
more than the
God, you gotta
boys
be
that
more
I've
manly
talked
than
to.
your girlfriend.
Yeah,
You
man,
gotta be more
that's
of a man than she is.
a big problem now. We're switching roles. I noticed that the roles are starting to switch.
The
And-
women don't like it. What are they saying now? We can't find any good men.
No, and that's the problem. Like, you hear that a lot. You hear a lot of girls like, that's the thing. Where the real men at? Yeah, I understand. I feel for some women. I really do, because some of these women are really out here trying to, it's a small portion, but some of these women are really out here trying to find somebody
And you
cool,
can't.
somebody good, and you can't, because like, you got all these boys. You got boys. It's just,
How many of these guys are looking for a mama?
Yeah,
They're not looking
yeah.
for a
I feel
lover,
like a
they're
lot of
looking
them
for
do.
a
And I
mama.
feel like for me it's just so hard to find a boyfriend because they feel so bad about themselves that they can't keep something that they like. So like with me, I've gotten cheated on a lot, and I feel like one of the main reasons
Self-sabotage.
one of the main reasons is self-sabotage, because I have treated a guy with the most respect I ever could, because like you've raised me that way. You have taught me how to be like a good girlfriend and what to do in certain situations, and I have putting a guy on a pedestal. I have
Mhm.
personally, and I still
Still carry that 45 with you when you go
and-
on dates.
and they still
That's a joke.
and they still managed to cheat on me. And then afterwards I would ask why, and they genuinely wouldn't know.
Mhm.
Well, it's
They
on-
would genuinely be like, I honestly don't know. And I feel like it's because they're sabotaging themselves, but they don't know that that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
And then afterwards they feel horrible about it, and then some guys just cheat because they just
They're dogs.
not only
Some
that
guys are
Got
just
that
not
dog in
only
you.
that, and not only that though, they don't cheat with somebody because they're prettier or they're nicer. They cheat with somebody because they're easier. They're way easier than me because I have high standards for myself. I haven't slept with every single guy that I've dated because that's not who I am. And that's how a lot of the girls around here are. So it's easy for a guy to cheat because the girls out here are easy.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
easy to get into their pants, and I'm not. So they end up leaving because I don't give them what they want. But it's like, but it's also like,
Prude, she's a
but it's
prude.
also like it's better for me because if that's all you were in it for, then why was I with you in the first place?
Exactly.
Kevin
would say-
wants to
I
make
would
a
say-
point here.
Go ahead. Yeah.
He's chomping at the bit here.
Okay, so like what Berto said about getting advice, I give advice to my friends because they'll be like when Kaden comes over here, he'll be like, yeah, your dad's like my dad. He's like my dad because like he has a dad, but like he doesn't live with him. And I'll give my friends advice, but sometimes they won't take it. Like I won't say any names, but like this kid,
Say some names. Call him out.
No, the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
this kid, he would just keep running back to this girl, but he's a pretty good looking man, and what's it called? He
Just waiting for it. I was like, can we hold it down? Can we hold it down?
he can probably pull some more girls, but he just keeps on running back to the same girl.
Yeah.
And they'll be in a relationship for like a week and then they'll break up and then they'll do it again and again and again. And I'll like give them advice and be like, yo, you could pull some other girls, like go find someone else. Just don't keep running back to this girl because she's just gonna keep doing the same.
I feel like
your message is spread throughout different age groups. And
I feel like
everything
a
all
lot of the
time.
a lot of the time too, a guy can't leave a girl because it's all he knows. Like she's all that
Yeah.
he knows. So it's like he doesn't want to. He knows he's got to leave, but he doesn't know what to do afterwards. I
Well-
feel like that's what a lot of guys are scared of, is they don't know what to do after.
That's the thing. Like after being in a relationship for 5 years, and then I was coming out of school too, and I had dropped a lot of the girls that I was talking to, and then being with her 5 years after we broke up, I didn't know what to do next.
Yeah,
you
you're
know
like,
what I'm
what do I do?
saying? But it was the greatest thing for me, in my opinion, because it really motivated me to start doing something with myself.
Well, I would say this, for example, I'm going to address this right here. You and I were just talking about this, Dad. Danny said the ex of hers apparently didn't know how to shut the hell up. That it's a superpower. He didn't know when to stop talking, quote, not to say stuff. You and I were talking about the
most
power.
men talk themselves right out of the girl like.
Yep. You know, we were talking about the power of silence, pure silence. You know, they say they want to know everything that you're doing. But I seen a TikTok the other day and it said, whenever you start dating the bad boy, but then he starts telling you about how his day was. It's like I don't care. And they don't
really
care. And you know, it's not their fault. You know, there's a reason why they're not out there working on the field and doing construction. They don't want to hear it because they're not out there doing it, you know. So they're not.
Brando, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull this conversation back just a little bit. So, hold on. I lost my train of thought for a second. So, there's different spectrums to like how female and males like wanted it, and I kind of forgot like how the conversation went. But there was the good girls and then the good guys. But all the good girls, every girl wants a good guy. But there's also the good girls and the bad girls. The one that goes have the nights out parties, and then the ones that stay home, hang out with friends instead, and they don't get influenced by their
exactly by their
3 or 4 friends.
Exactly.
But I also wanted to say something about what Mark said too. You said every friend or every advice that he gives is spread against different ages.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing. It is harder for younger generations because I try and give advice to my friends. Now, it may work for you a little bit better, but for kids my age, they will not listen to it. They're too stuck up.
Yeah.
I try and give all my homeboys advice. They just will not take it.
Yeah, and they're like, whenever I first started this, you know, I remember I didn't want to accept that that's how it was. It's hard, dude. It sucks because there's been time where we've been having a conversation, all 3 of us, and we were like, I asked you guys, I'm like, why does it have to be this way? I don't know, but it's just the way it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, just like, you know, there's nothing wrong with a lion killing a gazelle in nature. This is nature. This is natural. What's going on here is natural. I was going to put something in earlier, say something about how there's 2 different kinds of guys in this world that are kind of ruining it for the actual men, or the guys who are trying to take the manly route. You got the simps who are, you know, feeding all the sweetness. And then you got the incels who are taking the wrong parts of what we're saying and applying it to a more violent way, you know. So you have to, there's a fine line that you have to walk between these two.
Yeah, we have nothing against incels. It's your choice. I have whatever they want. That's like involuntarily celibate.
Yeah. Well, that, I mean, that just, yeah, for the most part. But like I was saying, there's a fine line between that, you know. One, you can be one of the two, you know what I mean? You just have to find, and like I said earlier, find the person that speaks to you the most. Find the person that speaks volumes to you.
Yeah, somebody you can relate to.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what what Berto was saying, that like it wouldn't work for like his age because like most of them are stuck up. Like for my age, it's sometimes easy, but like not easy because like sometimes the kids are like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He just gets it from like the internet and stuff. Like they don't want to take that advice because they think like it's not true.
Yeah.
Well,
So
say,
be
I'll talk from experience. You need to, like, those are the kids you do not want to hang around.
Yeah,
those
for
would
sure.
be the same kids.
And you know,
Oh,
just,
hold
It
on.
sucks
I don't want to
because-
cut you. I
Go
don't
ahead,
want to
you're
cut
good.
you off. Those would be the same kids. Let's say you had my old dream of, oh,
Cause that.
I'm not sure. I did see a big glitch, big lag over here earlier. My bag's hurting.
That's what I'm saying.
No sound.
We should be good now.
I don't know what's up.
Oh, we're good now. Wade said we're good now.
Can you hear us now, Wade?
Yep, he said yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Okay, I'm gonna continue.
All right, let's go.
But I feel like
Thanks, guys.
there's never like an in between. I mean, I dated a guy for 2 years. You guys all know that. But we were together, and he had some moments where it was like he was either belittling me to the point where I didn't like. It wasn't good for me. I would be getting called fat, like names, like I would, or it would be he'd be like extremely nice. There was never like an in between ever. Like there was never once an in between. So I feel like it's so hard to find that around here because there is no in between. There's one side or the other side. Nobody wants to be in the middle.
Yeah.
I've never once found a guy who, through our entire relationship, has stuck to his word of being a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you get selfish, but I could. But you really have to have an example at home whilst you're some mentor. Otherwise, it's easy to start falling into that complacency and get soft, and she gets tired of you, and you're not the guy that she. How many guys have you met and they start out good and then they end up being?
All of them.
Yeah.
I like what Daniel said here. It's like
Oh,
they
yeah.
need to get damaged in some way to accept the truth. You can't just hand someone the rational male experience and then and expect them to receive a message. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. You know, granted, most of the time people are like that's what I was getting ready to say earlier. Just like with everything else, that's happened recently, we don't care to have anyone else's agenda pushed on us. Just like no one cares to have our agenda pushed on them. You know, you don't ever want to do that. That's the one thing that we always try to keep from doing, is for pushing our agenda on somebody who doesn't want to listen. That's why certain people, you know, you just keep your mouth shut around. But there will be people who bring up the situation, for example, like you were saying, oh, this girl, this and that with your friend, and you're going to give them what you know. You know, now granted, whether they take it or not, that'll be it. But I 100% agree. You have to be damaged. I wouldn't have went this way if what happened to me back in 2019 didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be the man that I am now. You know, granted, it's been a long, painful road. It's been tough, man. But the thing about it is, if you have a good support system, good team with you, and everything like that, it's a whole lot.
I
easier.
think that's where Tate's popularity comes in. Is he talks masculine. He talks masculinity, and he like you said, he tells guys to get up and make something of themselves. That's where the other part of the society is saying, you're okay just like you are. If you're overweight and out of shape, it's okay. Love yourself how you are. And I believe a person should accept and love himself the way he is. But as men, we need to be striving for more. I think we need to be happy and grateful for what we have, but to be fulfilled, it's not the the end goal, it's the journey. And a man needs to be on a journey to feel fulfilled. Now, women are different, but that's the way men are. So unless you're doing something with yourself, you just really don't feel like a man.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys nowadays that expect the outcome of being of a man without doing what a man is actually supposed to do. And I was like that too for a long time. I was like, well, I want a woman that does this and does that and does this. But yet I was sitting on my ass playing Xbox, doing nothing, barely had a job, you know? I mean, so it's really like, that's a big deal nowadays, going back to just all of it. You know, there's a lack of men. There's a lack of men. There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of there's really a big lack of it all, especially right now, you know? So.
And I wanna go back to the subject because this is what I was saying about like how like some people are gonna take my advice and really stuff on that, because obviously I hear some kids like they'll be on the phone with their girlfriend and they'll be acting like a simp, and I'll be hearing it sometimes and I'll try talking to them and they would take my advice and be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but they would just go right back to like this simping stuff.
Yeah.
And,
That's like, go ahead.
And
Then go right back to simping, you said.
yeah, they would go right back to simping and they would just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it. And then right after they would just break up with their girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then like somebody in here is probably watching this and being like, oh yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you.
But do you hear me?
but-
Yeah, I got some advice for Paulina actually. What you were saying earlier is so I can't remember exactly what it was, but I will say one thing. Right now in this time of life, if you can't find the man that you want, this is kind of like the time where you just kind of have to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Because men and women have both had tests in life. You know, for men, you're gonna get put down as much as the world. You're gonna get put down on your knees pretty much. But for right now, is all I can give you. I mean, I'm not a girl or anything, but I would just say focus on yourself, build a better.
How do you identify?
I identify as a man.
This is a good one. Before anything. So Daniel said, for the young men, do your young girlfriends try to beta-tize you in any way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, we just going through a little something here recently, you know.
So let Henry,
Go ahead.
Well, when I was in a relationship for a long time, it wasn't so much, I guess you would say, her as it was her parents, more like. You know, like one time I was over eating at their house and they were like, "Oh, come on, eat up. Look how they were telling me you can only eat like this when you're young," and telling me to eat up and getting all full. I was getting all chunky and stuff like that. And
you're up to what, 186?
yeah, I was up to 187.
And what do you weigh now?
154. Yeah, I got
Well,
pretty
you're
chunky.
skinny. Have another piece of cake.
And then there was another thing I was gonna say.
And were they all overweight?
Oh yeah, all of them were for sure.
Because he loves company.
I know when I was hanging out with Mark, I almost said the name. My ex didn't like it. You know, she wanted me to stay home and not do anything or not go out with the boys and stuff like that. And I noticed after, I'm not saying cheating is right, but after I quit cheating on my ex, that's when I started getting disrespected.
And that's the same thing for me. You know, like I had an ex of like 5 or so years. Yeah. Hell yeah. They try to beta-tize you. They do it in such subtle ways that it doesn't seem like
And you don't even realize it.
You don't realize it. So I know that whenever I got cheated on, that's a good example. I got to how big? I was 190, 198. I'm only 5'6". That is big. I was a massive kid. I did that, and she told me exactly the same thing that you told me. She didn't like that I was hanging out with Henry. She thought, she's like, that's weird that you guys are always hanging out. This, isn't that. So I started staying home. I started becoming predictable. I'd come home every night after work, play my Xbox, shower up, do what I have to do, and then go to sleep. So yeah, I didn't try. She did beta-tize me, but I didn't think about it like that. I didn't think that that's what was happening. Like that was my thing. She did it, and she did it in such subtle ways. I didn't notice what was going down or what was even happening until.
I think it's natural for them to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I think if she's not trying to do something like that along those lines, and she's not doing what she's supposed to do, she's supposed to test you. Like you said, she's supposed to test you, and that's the thing. That will prove your manhood. Are you going to break under the pressure, or are you going to sit your foot down? And whether you lose her or not, right then and there, keep going on. Just like you said, that you got to make sure you have your foot put down, and you have to be willing to walk away.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't even tell. It's so subtle, and it's so like
Of course.
not secretive, but it's like you're in the moment, you can't
Yeah.
tell.
Oh yeah.
I had a
Love blinds you.
Turn the-
Love blinds you. Really, it really does, and everything. So like with that all being said, you gotta be on the lookout for it. You gotta be able to recognize pattern, and you're not gonna recognize it in your first relationship. You might not even recognize it in your third, or your second or third. It might take you a couple relationships, but you have to be willing. You have to be open and be willing to. What did you say that a while back? Like be almost willing to be hurt or something like that. So you have to learn. Without these challenges and without all this, you won't learn.
Where'd you put it?
Man, what was I gonna say? Oh, so Daniel sent the comments for the young men. Do your young girlfriends try to beta you in any way? I can't say that they do because I'm single. I'm a bachelor. I gotta deal with that.
I will say from experience, I have been beta before. I've been my girl has tried to beta me in my last relationship, but I caught on to it early on. I mean, yeah.
You're calling your baptizing all these guys.
I wanna say what Brandon was saying, like when you have some guys and girls work on themselves sometimes. And you see, I haven't been in a relationship in a while because I've been trying to work on myself a little bit. Like I've been going to boxing with the guys and stuff, and sometimes I've been wanting to stay home and like talk to a female, but like I know if I did, and I feel like shit when if I didn't come home. So I would just go to the gym. I'd leave my phone at home. And I wouldn't touch it until like a few minutes later after I took a shower and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be on it as much.
I will say from you starting at such a young age, it puts you at such a high, like you don't even realize once you get to like my grade, like my age, you will realize how different you are and how much more socially like, I don't know like I can't think of the word.
Socially aware.
Yeah, socially aware you are on like popularity, stuff like that. And you won't even realize it, but it just comes naturally from you doing the small things. I had a coach recently. He just resigned, and he said life is a big picture, but it shapes from the little things you do, and it adds up over time. And whenever you're looking at it from like a far away, it doesn't look like much, but whenever you take a closer look at it, you can see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and coach, my boxing coach, our boxing coach, she's been pushing me because she knows that I'm young and like and I've been like doing my she's been telling me that I'm like what's it called? Like I'm learning fast. She knows I'm learning fast.
What'd she say that day? She's like, "What's up with the Daniels?" And they know how to throw a hook. I mean, it's just in our blood.
I never pushed any of you to box.
No, we just spoke. Like I was saying earlier, you're our leader. You follow the example. We know we don't only box just because it's a sport and blah 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 that. No, you taught us that that's a good way of defending yourself. And it's a good way of keeping yourself in shape. It's a good way of keeping yourself in check. It's about discipline. You taught us that.
Oh yeah, I've gotten a lot of discipline from boxing. It's spread out through my life completely. With multiple different things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Tate's a fighter too.
Yeah.
A lot of his clips shows him fighting.
Yeah.
He was actually a world champion kickboxer.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times,
Oh, yeah.
I think. So.
Yeah, if you were to ask any of us here, ask us who our top 3 were, most likely there would be 1 or 2 fighters in that top 3 that lead us. But yeah, for sure.
Paulina,
I don't got nothing else.
what do you think? Do you think Tate's going to get out of jail?
I hope so. If he keeps talking, it's probably gonna get.
Yeah.
I must admit, I knew he said it was going to happen, self-fulfilling prophecy, and there's so many people out there
I
that's
feel
so
like
powerful.
if they can't find something in 180 days while he's still in there, someone's gonna try to.
I think
that makes sense.
I think he'll get out, but he'll continue. I think he'll get out, but I think they're gonna hold him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that word you said, Dad? Was it an enigma? If they kill him, is that what the word?
Oh no, a martyr.
A martyr.
Make a martyr. They're kind of doing that
I
now.
mean,
Yeah.
regardless, I feel like, regardless of what they do, nothing's gonna help him because he already left his digital footprint.
Yeah.
And say he does get, killed,
It'll get spread more.
He's still
Yeah.
gonna be known. regardless, he's getting spread more. He gets out and he keeps talking. It's gonna get spread. He gets out. He gets killed. It's gonna get spread.
Yeah.
So regardless, you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, another thing about it is that even though he got banned off of like all social media and all that sort of stuff, he said that he's like I've done what I need to do. He's pretty much taking over the internet. It doesn't matter where you go, you always see him.
For him, he's completed his life goal. He's just trying to do the ultimate goal of spreading his positive.
Yeah, even more.
But I was gonna say about what Paul is saying. If they do kill him, I mean, it just kind of paints the picture fully.
it does.
Like,
Wake up.
Wake up.
It's gonna make him more famous.
For sure.
The problem is with that camp thing that he had, that's so borderline of what they call human trafficking.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Yeah.
I mean, if the girls say that they felt like they were pressured to stay, or he promised them, they got the lover boy law. If they say that he pressured them or promised them that they were going to have a relationship and they didn't work out, see, therein lies the problem. Maybe he fired them or they got mad and quit.
Yeah.
Then that's really all it takes for him to have broken that law,
Mhm.
especially if they come from another country and he's paid their way there. So it just depends. If it comes down to the witnesses, the women saying these things, whether they're true or not, they have a tendency to believe that. And like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but I know how easy it is. Look at how many people have been accused of doing something by a woman, and then later on there's been several sports figures later on found out, and he's ruined.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think this will ruin him if he comes up not, if they find him not guilty. But we'll have to see what happens.
I do want to say one more thing before we head off. Kind of like what Tate's in right now is kind of like what all the sports athletes are going through. A simple thing is like, I'll say Sean Oakley. You might not know him. He was a big college football player. He was like, predicted to be a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I see it really. But a simple accusation of him, essaying someone, and it ruined his life. And now, I mean, he's still in the same shape, but he's not in the prime anymore.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's just
I know
simple
people lose
things
their
like that.
positions, they lose their contracts with sports, and even if it comes up to be false. So there really needs to be repercussions for false accusations like that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up because all the dogs are getting out here. It looks like they're going to start barking and crying because they want to be with us. So I want to thank you guys for being in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Come back again next weekend, Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will have another show for you. Until then, take care, have a wonderful evening, and stay cool.
Yeah.
Stay cool.
Yes, sir.